Yo, what's going on, dudes? HK Titan here with a brand new video for you guys, and in today's video, we're going to be doing a viewer suggested map. So, Vespa Key, we had a really cool idea of redoing the map Skates, but he wants me to do like a fiery version. So I'm not sure what he meant specifically by fiery, but I thought it would be a really cool like a basis idea if we took like Skates and we turned it into like a spring or like a summer version of the map. So that's exactly what we're going to be doing today. But first, before we do anything else, we are going to have to get the path laid out. So that's what we're going to be doing right now. And now for the background, we're going to be turning it into the water background, because on the map Skates, I think that Skates is actually a giant river with a couple of like ice shanties on it and stuff like that. So it shouldn't be too hard to remake the map. Now for the pathway, I'm not exactly sure what I want to use. I know with like water maps, more specifically like river maps, this pathway usually looks pretty good. And when it comes to like the map Skates, I don't think we're going to be able to get like an accurate like pathway representation, because the pathway on Skates is like a frozen version. So I think this would make a pretty good substitute. And there we go. That is like the basic outline of the map Skates. Now, obviously, we're going to have to clean it up a little bit to make it look a little bit better, because right now it looks a little bit too wacky and wonky for my likings. So let's go ahead and like mess around with these pylons a little bit to try and like make it look as good as we possibly can. And then we're gonna have to make it so like it's not perfect like 1-to-1 ratio for Skates, but I do want to make it as close as possible. All right, and I think that looks pretty good. I think I want to go ahead and make it a little bit smaller though, because we have to make like the shoreline over here on the bottom, and we also have to make the shoreline up here on the top, and I want to try to get it as close as possible. So let's go ahead and make this middle loop a little bit smaller. And then we'll make this loop a little bit smaller, and we'll make this loop a little bit smaller as well. All right, so I just took another look at the layout for the map, and this middle pathway was actually a little bit bigger than I had it. And the shoreline is a little bit further up here, so I think this is pretty good. Let's go ahead, we'll grab ourselves the area that has like the built-in shoreline. That way we don't have to worry about like not having sand and stuff. But so let's go ahead and do it like this. And then we'll have like the shoreline like kind of like curve around, and then we'll do it like this. I think this will look really, really good. We'll just go ahead and like extend it up here. We'll make it so like the shoreline is like really close to this pathway. Yeah, I think I really like the way that this is looking now. All right, there we go. And then we'll go ahead and fix this. And I think that should do it for the top shoreline. Now let's go ahead and make the bottom shoreline as well. And for the bottom shoreline, let me go ahead and take another look at the picture really quick. Yeah, so the bottom shoreline extends all the way up here to the start of the map. So let's go ahead and make it as far up as we can get it. And then we'll go ahead and like make this like really, really close to the pathway. And then we'll have it like curve around the path like this. And then we'll have it extend all the way like down here. Because I think this shoreline is a little bit closer to the track than this one up here. Also, I'm going to have to like reposition this pylon up here, because that little corner looks a little bit weird. There we go. I think that looks pretty good. Actually, I want to extend this. I want to extend this one out just a little bit more, because it still looks a little bit weird. There we go. That looks way better. All right, so now that we have like the shoreline built, the next thing we want to do is we want to start adding a little bit of a detail that like make it seems like we are on a river. And the first detail that I want to add, actually, before we add all of the details, let's go ahead and add these spruce trees along the shoreline, because on the map Skates, we have a bunch of different trees that are spread along the shoreline. So that's exactly what we're going to add right now. All right, so I think I have all of the trees positioned where they have them positioned in the map Skates. Now let's go ahead and like mess around with the sizes a little bit, because not all of the trees should be the same size. Let's go ahead and like make alternating sizes, some like really, really big, some like really, really short. That way we have a little bit of like different patterns, because if they're all the same, then it's just going to look a little bit weird. It's going to look a little bit off, and we don't want that. There we go. So I played around a little bit with the sizes, and I think this looks pretty good. That way you can like fit a bunch of like towers in between all of these trees. Next thing I want to do is I want to go ahead and add a little bit of detail to the shoreline. So what I want to do for the detail is add a bunch of rocks. So rocks along the shoreline is usually my go-to, because like when you have like a shoreline, usually you'll see like a bunch of different rocks like spread along the shoreline. So that's exactly what we're going to do now. There we go. And by adding these rocks, it just adds that little bit of extra something to bring a little bit more detail to our map, which is exactly what I'm going for. Let me go ahead and like mess around with this just a little bit, because right now it looks, or these rocks down here don't want to like blend in as well as I want them to. There we go. And this is looking a little bit better. I don't want all of like the rock piles to look exactly the same. So I want to add a little bit of extra like pizzazz to each of the rock piles to like make them seem like they're individual rock piles and are not just like copy and pasted. So I really like the way the rocks add that little bit of extra detail to the shoreline. Now the next thing we want to do, let's go ahead and come up to the stamps icon. Then let's go ahead and add a couple of flowers along the shoreline because you guys know we always have to add a little bit of flowers, especially with these stamps because it really brings something to our maps that doesn't make it the normal like a plain green background look like so plain. Then we'll add a couple more like flowers up here. I don't know if I'm going to keep the flowers at the very top because I still need to add shade. And I have a feeling that when I add the shade, it's going to make the flowers seem a little bit out of place. So we'll deal with that when the time comes. But right now, I just want to add these flowers to add that little bit of extra detail. There we go. Cool. Now, the next thing that I want to add is I want to add like that big bushel of leaves. Because that big bushel of leaves looks really cool on water maps. Because you like throw these in a like I want to say like indentations on the land, and it makes it seem like a big group of leaves have like piled up, which is something that you would normally see like next to rocks, or you see them like next to like lily pads and stuff like that, because when the leaves are flowing down the river, like you get like a big bushel of leaves, and that's something that I would really like to add to my map. Now, the next thing I want to do is I want to add some lily pads. Speaking of lily pads, because we're on a river, and right now the river looks a little bit barren, so let's go ahead and add a little bit more detail with a couple of lily pads. All right, so I think these lily pads are coming across quite nicely. I'm just adding a couple of lily pads that have some flowers on it to add a little bit of color to our river. And now that we've done that, the next thing I want to do, I want to add the pile of leaves again. And then we'll add the pile of leaves around the lily pads. Because like I was saying, the lily pads will like get a bunch of like leaves caught in them. So this will add a lot of detail to the water section of our map, which is exactly what I'm going for. There we go. I think that looks really cool. Now, the next thing we want to do, we want to add some cattails because, I mean, you can't have a river without cattails. It just doesn't happen. So I'll go ahead and like pre-place a couple of these cattails. I'll tilt one to the left, one to the right, and then we'll go ahead and make the left one a little bit smaller. We'll make the right one a little bit smaller as well. And then we'll keep the middle one a little bit bigger. All right. Now let's go ahead and add these to our cattails because, or these are, not our cattails, but our lily pads. And then this will add a lot of detail to our little gaggle of lily pads. And yeah, that's come together so nice. All right, then we'll go ahead and add some more cattails over here. And then we'll just make this like a twofer. Yeah, we'll make that a twofer, and then we'll come down here and we'll make it, wait, no, we'll make this one a threefer. And then after we make this one a threefer, we'll come up here and we'll make this one a twofer. All right, there we go. And we'll have 2 cattails here. We'll also come down here. We'll add like 3 or 4 cattails down here. Man, this looks so nice. And then we'll add one more. I need to tilt it the opposite direction like this. And that adds like so much detail to our map, but just by adding these cattails. All right, there we go. So we have like cattails spread around the map. We have our lily pads. We have our little bushel of leaves. Now I want to add a little bit more color because right now I'm kind of like lacking in the color aspect. So one thing that we can do to add a little bit of color is by adding these little purple flowers along the waterbed because they almost look like they belong in water, right? So we'll add these along the streamline, like they're kind of like weeds that have grown next to the shoreline. And I think this looks really good. And it adds a lot of color to our map, and we really don't have to do much. Now, the next thing we want to do is we want to bring a little bit more life to our map. And luckily, we actually have a couple of different things that we can add to add a little bit of life. And the first thing, of course, is going to be fish. So what we'll do is we'll add like a couple of fish. We'll add some over here, some up here, some around these little lily pads here, because usually like fish like to hang out in around lily pads. So we'll add like a bunch of fish because like if we add the fish, that'll add a lot more detail to our map, which is exactly what we're going for. And then I'll go through and I'll mess around with like these sizes of these fish. I just want to get a bunch of them placed down. Then we'll make some smaller, we'll make some bigger, and then this will add a lot of detail, which is exactly what we're going for. There we go. So we went ahead and we messed around with like the size and the position of the fish, so that way they don't all look the same size, and that looks way better. All right, now the next thing I want to add is there's another prop that looks really, really cool. And I think it fits along the theme of a river. And that, of course, is going to be the dragonfly right here. I mean, the dragonfly, it does have a headset on with a helmet, but I mean, once we make it a lot smaller, you're really not going to be able to see it. And then we'll go ahead and like add these dragonflies all throughout the map, and it'll make it look really, 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 really cool. So we'll go ahead and add some over here. We'll mainly add the dragonflies around like the lily pads, because that's usually where like dragonflies like to hang out, if I'm not mistaken. But I could be completely mistaken. I have no idea what I'm talking about, dudes. But I may have no idea what I'm talking about, but I still think it'll look pretty good just with these dragonflies. And yep, but that adds a lot of life to our map, which is exactly what I was going for. All right, so let's go ahead and add some shade here. We'll add some shade around all of these trees because, I mean, you guys know we have to add the shade. Because if we don't add the shade, then it's going to look a little bit off. But if we add the shade, then it's going to look really, really, really good. All right, there we go. And again, we'll go ahead and... Oh, wait, I forgot. If we place the flowers first, then the shade will actually apply to the flowers, and it'll make it look way better. Yeah, this is perfect. I really wish that we could add like shade to props and stuff, but unfortunately that's something that we can't do. And there we go. That looks really good. I was thinking about like adding shade like underneath the lily pads because I thought that would look pretty good too. So let me go ahead and give that a shot to see what it looks like. Oh yeah, that looks really good. That brings a whole new aspect to our map. That's so nice. And then, of course, you guys know it. I always have to add some like sunspots to our water maps because I feel like by adding these sunspots, it really brings a little bit of extra detail to our map. And I kind of just have to like fit them in like puzzle pieces because the randomization of the stamps is just a little bit too hard to like, well, you can't predict it because it's random. All right, there we go. And add a couple more sunspots. And that just adds a little bit of extra detail to our map. Because in the middle of the map, it looked a little bit barren, but with these sunspots, it really makes it pop a bit more. Then is there anything else that we can really add to our map to bring it to life? Well, we could add a couple of rocks. I mean, rocks always work out pretty nice. Then we'll add like a couple of rocks over here. I don't want to really mess too much with the shade, so we'll go ahead and leave it like this. And I think that looks pretty good. Next thing, let's go ahead and come up here, see if we can get like a good position on the sandbar. Well, actually, we really can't add the sandbar because we've already added too much detail next to the shoreline. But I don't think we really need to do too much more because I really like the way that this looks. For a summer or a spring version of the map skates, I think this turned out really, really nice. Now, the next thing we want to do, we want to add a little bit of an effect with like the background effect. And because like it's spring, let's just go ahead and add like a falling leaves like this. And then for the background music, the background, I'm not sure what would sound the best. You know what? I haven't used this one yet. I kind of like the way that the Carnival Complextro sounds. Complextro. There we go. I said it right. All right, now let's go ahead and save and exit, and then we need to go ahead and play and publish our map to make sure that we can actually beat this map. Actually, I'm looking at it in the thumbnail, and this little spot right here kind of sticks out a little bit more than I would like it. So let's go ahead and jump back in and change that pathway really, really quick. Because this one's sticking out a little bit further than I would like it to. And let's see how that looks. Now this bottom's sticking out a little bit further. And then there we go. I think that looks a little bit better. Yeah, that looks way better. And then let's go ahead and take a look up here. This spot up here seems a little bit off. So let's go ahead and make this a little bit more circular by extending it out. And yeah, that looks a lot better. Let's just go ahead and take a look at this really quick though, because that side looked a little bit wonky as well. And let's go ahead and do a double take really, really quick. For the most part, I think it looks good, right? Like we don't have any like spots that seem a little bit off. We have some pretty good curvature going on here. The small little circle here at the start looks good. And I think that should do it. Oh, wait. now that I say it should do it, I just noticed something that seems a little bit off. Never mind. It actually looks pretty good in the thumbnail. All right, so now you guys already know the deal. We're going to be playing on easy standard mode. That way you guys don't have like a cheat sheet for beating chimps, because I would like to see you guys beat this map on chimps. More along the line of, I would like to see if you guys can actually beat this map on chimps. I mean, if you guys can beat this on skates, then you guys shouldn't have too much of an issue beating it on chimps, or like beating this remastered version. Even though you guys can't place like land towers in the middle of the map, it shouldn't be too difficult. Now, the main thing that I'm going to be checking here are like a placement of towers, and then of course like sightlines, because I want to make sure like when you use like the monkey sub or like the sniper, there aren't going to be too much of sightline blockages. So right now it looks perfect. We have a sniper placed down here, and the rock up there at the top left-hand corner of the screen isn't interfering with the sniper at all, which is perfect. Now, unfortunately, we can't place like a tower up here, so that's a little bit unfortunate. I think I would have to like mess with the size of the trees in order to like place towers up here, but I really didn't want like too many towers to be placed up here at the top of the map, because I already gave like plenty of land here down at the bottom. So I really like the way that this map turned out. So we can go ahead and like place our Benjamin down here at the bottom of the screen. And then the next thing we need to do is we just need to, of course, finish beating this map, which this map, like I was saying, shouldn't be too hard to beat. Now, another thing I want to check if we place like a monkey sub up here, and then we upgrade this monkey sub up to advanced intel. Is this monkey sub going to be blocked by these cattails? I don't think it should. All right, yeah, so these cattails aren't blocking our monkey sub. So we pretty much have like free reign of the entire track, as long as you're like using water towers in the middle of the map. You guys shouldn't have too much of an issue. Plus, if we remove like this star monkey here, we could actually place like a monkey village here, I believe, and it should be able to affect that monkey sub. Yeah, it can. Perfect. All right, let's just go ahead and like position a dart monkey up here. Man, like this spot is like a little bit too wonky, but it still works. Then we'll place like a monkey sub up here. We'll grab a sharpshooter. We'll upgrade it to quick shots. That way our monkey subs can see camo balloons. Yeah, I really like the way that this map turned out. Please feel free to let me know in the comments below what you guys think of my springtime version of skates. Well, actually, we really can't call it skates anymore because there's no ice. But I mean, what else would we call it? Like springtime skates, summertime skates? Oh man, like I think I'm still gonna call it skates. That way people know what I'm trying to go for. But just know that this really isn't skates because because there's no more ice. And again, a big shout out to Vespa Kiwi 8809 for giving me this idea. I thought it was a really unique and ingenious idea that I didn't think about. I mean, why wouldn't I make like a summertime version of skates? Because I mean, we have the ice version, but now we have the summer version. And also, while we have a little bit of time, I just want to say thank you guys again so much for the support on the series. You guys are absolutely crushing it. Again, if you guys have a really cool suggestion for a map design that you guys would like me to create, please feel free to let me know in the comments below, because I do read the comments. And if the idea that you guys come up with is something that I can actually do, then of course I will do it, because I really like some of the ideas that you guys are coming up with. And also, before we beat this map, if you guys are enjoying these map creation videos, please feel free to drop a like. And also, if you guys aren't subscribed, please feel free to subscribe as well, because I do upload a daily Bloons content. And also, make sure you guys hit that bell button as well. That way you guys get notified every time I upload or go live on this channel. And there we go. We have officially beaten our map. Now, the last thing we need to do is, of course, name our map. So let's call it Summertime. Let me see. So Summertime, I think Summertime sounds good. So we'll call it Summertime Skates. And I think that turned out quite nice. Again, feel free to let me know in the comments below what you guys think of my map. And let me go ahead and share it really quick. And if you guys would like to play the map for yourself, here is the code. But that's going to do it for the video. Again, if you enjoyed, make sure you guys hit that like button. And I'll see you dudes in the next one.